The Galactic Council chamber was a marvel of engineering, a massive circular hall floating in the void of space. Delegates from countless star systems filled its tiers, each species with their own distinct features and traditions on full display. The air was thick with tension as Ambassador Lena Mercer, Earth's representative, stood at the center of the chamber. Her dark suit and piercing gaze contrasted sharply with the ornate robes and intricate displays of status surrounding her. She was an outsider here, representing a species many still considered too young, too reckless for the galaxy's grand stage. "The matter before us is simple," Lena began, her voice cutting through the low hum of alien chatter. "The New York vast swarm has already consumed 9 systems. Entire worlds burned, their populations enslaved or exterminated. If we do not act, they will not stop. They will reach our worlds, and when they do, none of us will be safe." A murmur rippled through the chamber. The New York vast swarm was a name that brought fear even to the most ancient civilizations present. The hive-minded species was ruthless, its expansion methodical and devastating. Yet the Council had remained hesitant, bound by its policies of neutrality and non-aggression unless directly attacked. The delegate from the VRYSS Dominion, a reptilian species with shimmering scales and cold, unblinking eyes, leaned forward. "Human, your words are bold, but your species has yet to understand the cost of war on this scale. You gamble with lives you cannot afford to lose." Another voice, this one from the crystalline Tlor representative, chimed in, its tones resonating like wind through a canyon. "The New York Vasts are a scourge, yes, but provoking them without the full support of the Council is suicide. Why should the galaxy risk annihilation for the sake of your kind?" Lena met their gazes without flinching. "Because the alternative is far worse. The New York Vasts do not negotiate. They do not coexist. You all know this. If we wait for them to come to us, it will already be too late." She stepped forward, activating a holographic display. Images and videos filled the air, charred landscapes, shattered cities, and gaunt survivors rescued from the outer colonies. Gasps and uneasy shifting filled the room as the delegates watched New York Vast drones herding captives into massive bioconversion chambers. Lena's voice softened, carrying the weight of her plea. "This is not just humanity's fight. This is the fight of every species that values freedom, life, and survival. I'm not asking for war because I want it. I'm asking for war because it's the only way to stop them." Silence followed her words. Then the Arbiter, a towering, insectoid figure from the Scar Collective, clicked its mandibles in disapproval. "The Council's mandate is clear. Intervention can only be sanctioned by a unanimous vote, and there is no such consensus here. Humanity's proposal is denied." Lena's heart sank, but she had prepared for this. She had always known that the Council, for all its grandeur, was paralyzed by its own bureaucracy. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. "Then humanity will act alone," she declared, her voice firm and resolute. Gasps echoed through the chamber, and the murmurs grew into a cacophony of disbelief. Lena pressed on. "If the Council will not defend its member species, we will defend ourselves. We will fight, with or without your approval." The VRYSS delegate hissed, its eyes narrowing. "You would defy the Council? Risk destabilizing the galaxy with your reckless bravado?" Lena turned to face them directly. "Reckless? Perhaps, but at least we will have acted. While you hide behind neutrality, we will stand and fight. Not just for ourselves, but for every world the New York Vasts seek to destroy." The chamber erupted into chaos, voices shouting over one another. Some delegates called for calm, while others accused Lena of endangering the fragile balance of the galaxy. The Arbiter's booming voice demanded order, but the uproar continued. Lena stood tall amidst the storm, her expression unwavering. She knew she had made enemies today, powerful ones, but she also saw flickers of something else in the crowd. Admiration, respect, and perhaps even agreement. As the noise finally began to subside, Lena delivered her parting words. "Humanity will not wait for the darkness to consume us all. If you cannot stand with us, then at least do not stand in our way." With that, She turned and walked out of the chamber, her footsteps echoing in the vast hall. The weight of what she had just done pressed heavily on her shoulders, but she held her head high. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for far too long. It was time to show them what her species was truly capable of. Behind her, the council chamber was alive with debate, but Lena knew that the real battle was just beginning. Ambassador Lena Mercer stepped off the Galactic Council's shuttle onto Earth's orbital station, her expression grim. The weight of her defiant declaration still hung heavy on her shoulders. Behind her, news of humanity's bold ultimatum was spreading like wildfire across the galaxy. Some species called humanity reckless fools. Others whispered admiration for their courage. Lena had no time to dwell on opinions. The war she had just declared was already here. Madam Ambassador, Admiral Callan greeted her at the station's command center, his crisp uniform a sharp contrast to his weathered face. The defense fleet is mobilizing as ordered. We've sent word to every colony and outpost. What's our next move? Lena studied the holographic display before them. Human ships, sleek, compact designs bristling with experimental weaponry, were converging on Earth. The sight was impressive, but Lena knew it wasn't enough. Humanity's fleet was dwarfed by those of older, more advanced species. They couldn't win this war through numbers alone. Our first move, she said, her tone decisive, is to strike fast and hit hard. We can't afford to fight on the defensive. If we're going to survive, we need to take the initiative. Admiral Callan nodded, his eyes narrowing as he studied the tactical map. There's a New York-vast stronghold in the Zorith system. Reports say they've been using it as a staging ground for their raids. If we hit it, we could cripple their operations in this sector. It's a risk, Lena admitted, but it's a risk we have to take. Send the fleet. I want the Zorith system liberated within the week. As Callan left to relay her orders, Lena turned her attention to the wider galactic response. Messages flooded in from across the stars. Some were offers of quiet support. The Kardar Union, a fierce warrior species, pledged a small contingent of battle-hardened soldiers. The Talisquar, renowned healers and strategists, promised medical aid and intelligence. But most messages were condemnations. Council members warned humanity to stand down, calling their actions a destabilizing force. Lena ignored them. Words wouldn't stop the New York Vass. 3 days later, humanity's fleet arrived in the Zorith system. The battle was brutal and chaotic. New York Vass drones swarmed the human ships, their numbers overwhelming. But humanity's adaptability proved to be their greatest weapon. Using coordinated tactics and experimental EMP weaponry, they neutralized key enemy vessels and turned the tide of battle. By the time the dust settled, the Zorith system was free. Thousands of alien prisoners, liberated from New York Vass bioconversion chambers, wept tears of gratitude. News of the victory spread across the galaxy like a shockwave. Back on Earth, Lena stood before a broadcast, addressing both humanity and their reluctant allies. This is just the beginning, she declared. We fight not just for Earth, but for every world the swarm seeks to destroy. We will not falter and we will not fail. Together, we can end this threat once and for all. As cheers erupted across human colonies, Lena knew the war was far from over. The New York Vass would retaliate, and the Galactic Council still hesitated. But for the first time, humanity had shown the galaxy what it was capable of, and the rising storm would not be ignored. The victory in the Zorith system had been hard-won, but its aftermath left no room for celebration. Humanity's bold offensive had drawn blood, and the New York Vass swarm had taken notice. It was not long before the swarm retaliated, their response swift and brutal. Admiral Callan stood on the bridge of the Resolute, Earth's flagship, as reports poured in. New York Vass fleets had begun coordinated attacks across human colonies in the outer systems. They came not as scattered raiding parties but as a unified wave, their numbers staggering. Colonies Farpoint and Havenfall have gone dark, a communications officer reported, his voice heavy with dread. The last transmission from Farpoint confirmed mass bombardments. Civilian evacuation was incomplete. Lena Mercer, who had insisted on joining the command ship, clenched her fists as she stared at the holographic map. Red indicators flared across human territories, marking the devastation. The swarm was relentless, striking where humanity was most vulnerable. "We knew this was coming," Lena said, her voice calm despite the chaos. "The swarm is testing our resolve, trying to crush us before we can consolidate our strength." Callan nodded grimly. "If they expect us to roll over, they're in for a surprise." He turned to his officers. "Mobilize Task Force Sigma. Prepare the fleet for a counterstrike at Havenfall. We're going to show them we won't go down without a fight." As the fleet moved out, humanity's adaptability once again became its greatest weapon. The battles that followed were desperate, with human forces often outnumbered 10-1. Yet, using guerrilla tactics and innovative strategies, they managed to inflict significant losses on the New York VAS. At Havenfall, a coordinated ambush using asteroid fields as cover allowed Earth's forces to destroy 2 New York VAS command ships. In the Omicron Belt, experimental AI-driven drones turned the tide of battle, overwhelming swarm drones with calculated precision. Each victory, however small, came at a cost. Despite their resilience, humanity's losses mounted. Entire colonies were lost, and for every ship the New York VAS destroyed, the cost of replacement strained Earth's industrial capacity. The morale of human soldiers and civilians wavered under the relentless pressure. Back on the Resolute, Lena worked tirelessly to rally support. She sent urgent communiques to the Galactic Council, imploring them to reconsider their neutrality. Publicly, most council members remained silent, but whispers of dissent began to spread. Some species, impressed by humanity's defiance, offered covert assistance. The Kardar Union sent more troops, while the Talisquar provided advanced medical technology to treat wounded soldiers. Yet not all responses were supportive. Lena uncovered evidence of a conspiracy within the council, a splinter faction secretly aiding the New York VAS in hopes of weakening humanity and the swarm alike. Furious but focused, Lena exposed the plot in a dramatic council broadcast, further polarizing the galaxy. The New York VAS, meanwhile, showed no signs of relenting. Their latest assault targeted Proxima Station, a vital hub for Earth's supply lines. As the Resolute raced to its defense, Lena knew that this battle would determine the war's trajectory. Standing on the bridge, she looked at Callan and the crew around her. "We've come too far to falter now. No matter what happens, we hold the line. For Earth, for all of us." The swarm's retaliation had shaken humanity to its core, but Lena was determined. Their defiance had sparked something in the galaxy, a recognition that humanity would not be cowed. And as the Resolute surged into battle, the message was clear. The fight was far from over. The Resolute entered Proxima Station's sector at full speed, its engines roaring as it approached the battlefield. The sight before them was grim. The New York VAS swarm had encircled the station, their massive hive ships blotting out the stars. Swarms of drones flooded the void, hammering Proxima's defenses. The station's hull was scarred, its shields flickering weakly as it struggled to hold on. Admiral Callan surveyed the scene from the command bridge, his jaw set in grim determination. "All ships, form up," he barked. "We hit them hard and fast. Target the hive ships first. If we take them down, their drones will lose coordination." Lena Mercer stood at his side, her face a mask of resolve. The weight of humanity's survival pressed heavily on her, but she refused to let it show. "Proxima must hold," she said firmly. "If we lose this station, we lose our supply lines. We lose the war." The fleet surged forward, a wall of steel and firepower. Human ships, though outnumbered, were fast and adaptable. They weaved through the New York VAS formations, unleashing precise strikes on critical targets. Explosions lit up the void as the first hive ship succumbed to concentrated fire. On the station, the situation was dire. Civilians huddled in emergency shelters while defense crews fought desperately to repel boarding parties. Commander Elena Voss, head of Proxima's defense, coordinated the resistance with razor-sharp precision. Her voice crackled over the comms, issuing orders to soldiers and engineers alike. "We're holding the eastern docks," Voss reported to the Resolute, "but we've got breaches on decks 3 and 5. If reinforcements don't arrive soon, we're done. Help is on the way, Lena assured her. Turning to Callan, she added, we need to get ground forces on that station now. Callan nodded. Deploy the Marines. Full assault. We're not leaving Proxima to the swarm. Drop ships launched from the fleet, diving into the fray. Lena watched anxiously as human soldiers engaged the New York VAS on the station, their weapons blazing. Every inch of ground was contested, every corridor a battlefield. Then, something unexpected happened. As the second hive ship erupted in a fiery explosion, the swarm faltered. Their drones hesitated, their movements less coordinated. Admiral Callan seized the moment. All ships, press the attack. Take out their command vessels. The tide of battle shifted. One by one, the New York VAS hive ships fell, their wreckage scattering across the sector. On Proxima Station, the Marines pushed the remaining swarm forces back, reclaiming critical areas. When the last hive ship was destroyed, the swarm's remnants fled, their once unbreakable unity shattered. Cheers erupted across the fleet and the station. Against all odds, humanity had held the line. As the Resolute docked with Proxima, Lena stepped off to meet Commander Voss. The station's halls were scarred, but the resilience of its defenders shone through. This was a victory, Lena said, her voice steady. But the war isn't over. We've shown the galaxy what humanity can do. Now we need them to stand with us. For the first time, Lena felt a spark of hope. The New York VAS were not invincible, and humanity's defiance was becoming a beacon for others. The turning point had arrived, but the greatest battles still lay ahead.